30-point wins. It's been the story in the second-round series in the Eastern Conference playoffs in the NBA between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, at least in the last two games. Indiana wins game number 4 by 32. An absolute rout in Indy. New York returns the favor last night back in the Big Apple inside Madison Square Garden. A 30-point win for the Knickerbockers, 121-91. They cover easily as a 1.5 favorite, just 14 cents of separation on those money line numbers. Minus 116 for the Knicks, minus 102 other side of the money line for the Pacers, and a total of 217 and a hook because of only 91 points offensively from Indiana. Stays well under. The Garden has been electric, and New York is 5-1 at home throughout this postseason. Now a 3-2 series lead here, one win away from a berth in the Eastern Conference Finals for the Knicks for the first time since 2000.
It's all about Brunson. Guy's a superstar, man. Superstar on Broadway, and rightfully so. If you're just betting the Knicks, forget about every other player. You know 9 out of 10 times Brunson is going to get you your money, which means 44 points last night. Like, oh, banged up, didn't play all that well. Let's see when he comes home to the Garden. We should have known better, right? Ben, he took 35 shots from the field yesterday.
Yeah.
He's back in tune. Now, also, when are we going to I wish we would get the phone call right from the Knicks and be like, you know what, who's going to play? Oh, yeah, Miles McBride's actually going to show up tonight. He played 40 minutes, 7 of 15 from the floor, dropped 3 triples for 17 points. That's exactly what we need. Josh Hart, who was terrible in the previous game against Indiana. You take a look at this now, 18 points and 11 rebounds and a plus 21. The only guy that really didn't show up yesterday, which cost me another parlay, was Dante DiVincenzo. Needed to make 2 3-point shots. He doesn't make any 3-point shots, and guys like Alec Burks are draining 5 off of the bench. So it just goes to show you how hard it is sometimes to pick. But the one thing we do know is Brunson is a flat-out superstar and is ready for that moment. And as we talked about, how deflating can you be coming back to the Garden? Like, yes, we understand it's going to be a best of 3, but the way they got beat down in game number 4 looked like they might not even be active the rest of this series, and yet they win by 30 points on their home court last night and look like the better team by far. I don't know what to make of this series overall, but I do expect probably the Pacers to win game 6 and then a fun game 7 back in the Garden. But the one thing we do know, banged up, bring in your lunch pail, it's Jalen Brunson. He has been you're not supposed to be able to shoot 35 times in a game as a smaller point guard. He's been doing that. It's an incredible run, something we haven't seen in a long, long time, man.
And better than 50% from the floor, 18 of 35. If he's going to take 35 field goal attempts and hit at that efficient rate, he's going to go over whatever points prop the FanDuel Sportsbook sets for him. And I bet over 32.5 2 nights ago, getting ready for last night, just because of the variance in the numbers. You remember getting ready for game 2 at Madison Square Garden in this series, DRS, and seeing his points prop rise from 35 and a hook, already astronomical, to 37 and a half. And both you and I said, listen, it makes sense to elevate that points prop. We wouldn't bet it, but it makes sense. I took advantage of the market discrepancy, and the number closed at 33 and a half. He took more field goals than his points prop last night, and he scored 44. How about Isaiah Hartenstein? 12 offensive rebounds yesterday, 17 in total, cleaning up the glass. It was the change in the starting lineup. Deuce McBride in there. Alec Burks, the guy to make 5 triples off the bench, to fill in for the overnight for Dante DiVincenzo. And Tyrese Halliburton has his second stinker in this series inside Madison Square Garden. Only 13 points last night, only 9 field goal attempts. And DRS, what was so crazy was entering last night's game, when we were breaking this down on a Tuesday morning on the early line, it was a 2.5 point spread in favor of New York. And we all anticipated that OG Anunoby would be out for a 3rd straight game and miss game number 5. When that became official yesterday afternoon, the line worked against New York. It was only a 1.5. And yet, the shorthanded New York Knicks don't just win in a tight game where they had to claw it out like every game up until game 4 in this series. They win by 30 and make a statement at home.
You typically play better at home. That's the way we know it. Even if you're banged up coming into it, or even missing starters like the Knicks are. And also, you can go back to that Cleveland Cavaliers series against the Celtics in that last game. No Donovan Mitchell. They still played well and covered the spread. We have to remember, there's still professionals on both sides of the basketball, even if some of those star players are down. But never did I see the Knicks winning this game comfortably by 30 points here. Now we go back to Indiana.
And Indiana is going to be a 5.5-point favorite for Friday night's game number 6. We'll look at the series situation and plenty more up next on the early line. The Denver Nuggets back officially in those NBA championship odds. We'll look at where the Nuggets stand, one win away from an appearance in the Western Conference Finals for a second straight season. But, Donnie, we go back to game number 5, first inside Madison Square Garden. The Knicks don't just win outright and cover as a slight 1.5-point favorite in a game the odds makers expected to be close and a gnaw and claw it out type game for New York. They win by 30. How does that alter the series odds as we get ready for a couple of days off in game number 6 in Indianapolis on Friday night? Entering last night, Indiana was a minus 144 series outright favorite despite being a road underdog in game number 5. We spoke about that at length, DRS, and how those odds did not necessarily correlate. Well, now they certainly don't. New York heads back to Indy, one win away from a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in nearly 2.5 decades since 2000 as a minus 265 favorite to win this series outright. And yet New York is booked currently as a 5-point underdog for game number 6.
Yeah, I would assume that this is going back to New York for game number 7, just based on what we've seen in the home court for this series alone. First 2 games, who won? It was the New York Knicks. They were home. Next 2 games, who won? It was the Indiana Pacers on their home court. Game number 5, home court. Game number 6 should go home court as well. And then we go to game number 7, which I'm also going to go the home court here. I think the Knicks do win this series. They just have to win 1 out of 2. Do they want to close out 6 games? Absolutely they do. But I don't know if they can, just based on this series profile. So in 7, I do think the Knicks take care of business back in the Garden.
So there is profitability then to be had. If you follow the odds, it makes a lot of sense. New York is a 5-point underdog on the road in Indy. They did not win either of the 2 games in Indianapolis. So far in this series, no road team has won a basketball game. And again, the Knicks will be a hefty underdog. A couple of days off to rest for this shorthanded New York team, that is only a positive. But I would agree with Donnie. I think Indiana wins in game number 6 back inside the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So go back to the series odds. The Knicks to win in 7 right there in front of your face is plus 155. The Knicks will be at least a slight home favorite inside Madison Square Garden in a winner-take-all Game 7 in this second-round series. You would have profitability on New York and a hedge-out or moneyline opportunity on the other side for the Pacers. There's your best bet in this series if you do not think New York steals one on the road in game number 6.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if, Grant, I can't say I don't know, because we said back-to-back games where each team blew each other out by 30. So we could have another big performance, and maybe Brunson is fully healed from that foot injury that he had a couple games ago. But I do think Indiana rises up on their home court, and we're destined for a game 7. So the plus money in game 7, I'm not going to say, hey, you know what, even if, let's just say the Pacers win by 30 on their home court, I won't have any carryover correlation to game number 7. Like, yep, that's just what it is. And the Knicks come home. Maybe they win by 30 in game number 7. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what we've seen so far in this series. By the way, that game is on Friday night because of Caitlin Clark's home opener for the Indiana Fever tomorrow night in Indy against the New York Liberty. A big night of New York versus Indy on back-to-back nights in Indianapolis.